rephrase the question. Why I started Axon, right? My name is Dean. I'm the owner of Axon Driver Solutions and Axon Endurance Team. I'm always a car guy since I was a kid. Like my first memory is me driving a Mercedes-Benz, not the real car, of course. It's the toy car when I was 2 years old, and that's my earliest memory. And since then, I'm into cars. I grew up in China before. I don't have any access to cars, and I'm pretty rebellious. You know, the things I don't have, I always wanted to get, and yeah, here I am, owning the sim racing team and also the sim company. I got into sim racing back in the Gran Turismo day, if you consider Gran Turismo as a sim racing. If you talk about video games, I go all the way back to where Walter started as well, Need for Speed 2 back in 2000. And yeah, and basically all the major title of Need for Speed back before 2012, I all cleared a couple times. And then eventually I got a PlayStation 2 after begging my mom a couple of times. And then I got the Gran Turismo 3 and 4. Many people might know that, you know, they actually there's actually Nürburgring 24 hours in Gran Turismo 4. I have to play through it a couple of times because my dad kept unplugging my PlayStation 4. So I have to, you know. But yeah, so that's my official start of sim racing. And after that, I kind of moved through Assetto Corsa and iRacing first. I started iRacing around 2011, and then Assetto Corsa came out, and also I did a race room, a little bit of R Factor, a little bit of Need for Speed after my friend introduced that to me. I stopped a while after I do more on autocross and other racing, but opening up Axons kind of bringing me back in sim racing. My racing background starts back in 2008. Many people don't want to admit it, but I did street racing back then, and then I get caught, and then my parents want to take my car away, and a friend of mine introduced autocross to me, said that kind of solved my Need for Speed, and also that formal introduction to racing world, and I started autocross from then, and yeah, I had a RX-8 before. A lot of people think that's a lame car. It's actually pretty nice, if you don't mind Apex seals. Yeah, and then I have S2000 later. Most people probably know me about S2000s. Yeah, I always think there are three aspects of car enthusiasts, you know, car collectors, people who work on their cars, and people who like driving. I think I'm all three of them. Recently, I'm more towards driving because I found that I enjoy driving a little bit more. I only work on cars when I can't find solutions from someone else. And I don't like to keep changing cars because I do like to, you know, extract every ounce of performance out of a car before I move on to the next one. I might be a little bit different from other people. I would say family. It's my biggest concern. You know, I wouldn't say I'm Elon Musk rich, but my family can support my hobby. That's good. But they never support me anything that's dangerous. I'm from really traditional Asian family. So before 18, I can't do anything that I really like. That's why I started autocross back in 18 because I was 18 years old. I got my hobby, got my car, also got my part-time jobs, know a couple people out of gas stations, just like Takumi in the initial D. That's how I kind of get my steps into racing world. I think it's the same. a lot of people would, complain about, oh, I can't feel things, I can't feel the G-forces, I can't feel whatever. But to me, to drive different simulator or just driving simulator itself, it's like driving a new car, because whenever you're driving a car, the situation is always different. You have different temperature, you have different ambient, even lighting, or you have different wind, humidity. The conditions always changes, so you never have the same lap time again and again and again. That's basically the same with sim racing. In sim racing, something that it might not matches what you expected, but it's a driver's responsibility to kind of overcome that difficulty. And I think that that learning, it's the same as driving with different cars, right? So I think that's how I translate, between drivings and simulations. For the most valuable aspect of sim racing, I would like to emphasize a little bit more on the mental side. I know that a lot of people value a lot on the physical skills, like steering input, throttle, but I know that there are a lot of different motorsport activity you can train on, like karting, autocross. Those are all pretty good tools as well, but none of those give you the opportunity to train the mental side of things. For example, that the easiness you can jump on sim racing to race people around the world, to kind of race with different driving styles, in coming to different situations. It gets you thinking a lot. It gets you prepared mentally, how to approach a situation, how to approach a race. Just like what we did in Nürburgring 24 hours, we're driving a much faster cars compared to a TCR, for example, and then we have 10 TCRs, or 10 to 20 TCRs in the field, and then they're all acting differently, right? So we have to kind of think about how do we solve them, how do we approach them, whether we take this guy a little bit more aggressively and cut his line, or do we just wait for the next corner? I think those kind of mental side of things, and those seat times are very, very valuable. So I think those are the most important thing for me in sim racing. I think my understanding of racecraft is the strategy and communication when you are in the race car and during the head-to-head racing. Because driving isn't just about driving your fastest. There are a lot more fast drivers, and a lot of time that fast drivers might not be on the fastest car. So people need to think about some creativity to gain more advantage onto their side. And other than the engineering side of things, also that a couple on-track behaviors that can give them a little bit more advantage. For example, drafting is one of the really commonly known racecraft. One of the good examples is that when we were doing Nürburgring 24 hours not long ago, Curtis was fighting for 9th place, and then at first he was trying to all out, trying to ditch the guy out of our draft, and then I told him that what, Curtis, we don't have to ditch them. We can actually make a mistake on purpose and let him to pass us, and we'll get behind his bumper and draft his bumper all the way and force him into mistake that might be a better benefit to our side, right? So that's one of the racecraft. If we go for ultimate speed, we might use more fuel. We might cost us a lot more tires to burn. We might not perform. Maybe we ditch them eventually, but additional tires and fuel that's used might cost us at the end. So we just change our strategy and change our communication a little bit differently with different drivers to kind of lay a trap over there. Eventually, that guy gave up. He didn't give up, but he let go and made a mistake, and then he spun out of a fast corner, and we gained like 15 seconds advantage out of him. Easy. So that's one of the racecraft, right? So it's not necessarily the fastest car and fastest driver. Sometimes strategy helps. I think establishing Axon is one of my biggest accomplishments. Not the most profit-generating machines, I would like to say, but I think I really enjoy working in this industry because it gave me a lot of opportunity to connect with different type of people. I know a lot more car people, karters, sim racers, people who I normally cannot connect to through sim racing. I think that's the biggest accomplishment. Why I started Axon, right? First of all, I always wanted to get into automotive industry. Unfortunately, I don't have any racing connections back then. I don't know any race engineer. I knew myself as to have a career as a racing driver basically shot when I was 10 years old. So I always I want to be in the racing industry, but my goal was kind of like, become either a team owner or a team crew or a team engineer on a professional race team. Unfortunately, that I don't have that connections. There's one day that when I was traveling Japan, a friend of mine introduced his friend in Japan who is carrying D-Box motion. And I went to his office just to, kind of understand what's going on. At the end, I stayed there playing iRacing for 3 hours nonstop and making my wife to stay there and watching me play 3 hours. And then I was like, it might be a good idea to bring that experience to Vancouver. To kind of, the name Axon basically is one of the neural component of our brain. I want our business to become the platform of motorsports people to using sim racing to connect to different people in the motorsport industry. So that's my vision of the company. Hopefully people can feel that way. And and that's why I opened up Axon, is connect people through sim racing.